It's just secret. Everything is through possible. It won't through. But once again, it's please. I don't know about I don't know about elevation. Because you're looking at elevation, the ones it's already. You see this infestation.
Yeah.
Look at the winds that are on. I feel we would see right by seeing them. So where is it taking it up on? It's like in ready. It's exactly. It doesn't matter if you're actually taking it's 29. Just looking good. If you take it over, this check would all be artist what I'm saying. So yeah, also the next the last one it all starts was it's more we still get that memo. Listen, last started 9 o'clock. We're just waiting to take a clock. Just as fine. It's like for a couple more just like it's only worth that. No, it's meant it was like walking around like Los Angeles and last week. Dude, one of them. One of them dead. Yeah. Dude, like I was but it was actually you know much. It's getting down. Oh, here it is. It was really good. Really? I don't know a bunch of them. Yeah, it's like that's the downtown. I'm not even playing. I mean, you know, it's like that's so long. That's so long. Yeah, that's what I was yeah. But now it's cool. And that's just like so small. Zero traffic. No, zero. I went to see them like it's not go see like just like straight shot. Doesn't get past. None of them come in. Still coming. Everything is. Yeah. You know, at first you were like things I was walking around something here. So I'm just gonna walk there right here. Supposedly when the said that he was a Cuban very special, it's still pastry. And I think she didn't be who said this? She didn't already think that's it. I knew he could make it. So
Tiffany said she was crashing. I don't. Abby's not. Oh, bro.
Oh, you made it.
Is there? Does everyone know how to go to the homepage, the hub?
Oh,
Is it SBA's? Actually, we're not. The hub. Oh.
I used to
Hub.
it's not much. It just very much. It's not more like buttons.
That's
I don't know. Yeah, one of these.
Yeah.
It's more about like not the idea of my body that, but I so that's like this guy.
How do I find a code? So they know how to get to this page. It's just Zoom registration on the Academy Hub. So everyone knows Zoom. Where do I find?
No what's all 40 days keeps what's happening here. It's just like not right, but it's normal interesting. It's like I never really feels like that. Let's miss yeah, this like guys said Yeah, it's like, like, sale, and I was like, okay, I got. Well, no, what part of it is, I still, I do, like. Yeah. I don't want to be like, you know. Yeah, and I just feel like. Yeah, I'm like, sounds like way about. It's way for the belt. Yeah, actually, nobody else. They do. If you never come back, it's here. Yeah. It's the very best feel best there. I roll it's like the so you want to play that. But so she would have some scared of the that was great. Yeah. Yeah, we did it shortcut. Yeah. Yeah, it's big. Where'd you go? Like this. You go.
It's very municipal. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, if you feel like it, you can go ahead and take the quiz. We have 2 hours in here, so I'm studying my multi for today, so. Take the quiz whenever you need to.
Bobby, I think that's what it is. It's sound good. Oh. No, I need to I think he probably teaches, but doesn't teach the ones. But that's not, I just want to last. Oh, yeah, oh my god, man. That's the flip religion, it's all around. It wants to live for two. The language, it's. What was he said? Yeah, it's just doing a very full step. Like, you think that's not actor. And it says. This is close to small sense and it's in bonds. It's articles for OG is in the bond. I want to be. You can take on price.
So,
Spencer's text. Zoom. In there.
yeah, I already got him. Yeah, there's 8 people in there. Spencer already got you. Everybody on Zoom is already marked as virtually present.
You this. Secure. It's fun.
So if I take a chance. It's gonna say. She's just my thinking. She's good too. My man fits.
Spyware website. Then, see the plan? Yes, so the other line. And then saving from planning. Starting a new time, that's the right. I feel like the right. Lecture. Oh, charging. Actually, I can't just go up. I can't keep it. Never forgot right now. Take my different bags, I think. Stitches. What feels your chart, you can't. Bro, my chart. Yes, the one like this. They all money goes to sit up. So it's fast. Yeah. She must do. Yeah.
Everybody's done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like everybody on Zoom is also done. This one was rough. No 100%. Really rough.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Okay. Let's go over it real fast since we're having trouble with this. Okay. Yeah, someone took it as auto, so. And I know he's in the sim out there, so he can't be doing the quiz. That one.
Yeah, let's do it. Sorry.
Mhm. It's so funny because he has no idea that you all know who he is.
What is he? What's not private?
No, I think he was finishing, it sounds like he was finishing his private when he came in, and so now he's working on instrument. But I don't know the whole story. I haven't gotten to talk to him yet, but I do know he's on sim, so there's no way he took the quiz. Okay, what instruments? 92s. Okay, what instruments are part of the pitot stack system? Altimeter, airspeed, VSI, right? 48, 92%, that's not bad. If the G3X air data computer and the AHRS fail, will the G5's information be reliable? 85 is okay. Yes, because it has its own, right? We talked about that, how it has separate systems so that you can still use the G5 if the G3X fails, and that's why it's a little bit off from each other sometimes. Yeah, so it doesn't run off the same, and only if the plane's vacuum system is working. Do we have a vacuum system in the plane? No, that's for old school gyroscopic instruments. In older planes, they use a vacuum system for the gyroscopic instruments, so we don't have one. What should you not do if you're lost? Descend. Climb is a good idea. Calling ATC is a good idea. Making a U-turn is a good idea. Descending, not a good idea. 85, that's fine. I can't tell how many of you in the class got this right or wrong. What does it mean if your to from flag disappears while you're approaching a VFR or VOR? Do you all remember? 90% is pretty good. So you all remember me talking about the cone of confusion? When you're on top of the VOR, it can't tell what radial you're trying to fly, so the little needle and the to from flag disappear from your HSI. I'm going to assume all of you got that. Which instruments continue to function normally if the plane's pitot tube becomes blocked? Altimeter and vertical speed. 77's not great. A lot of people, not a lot, but most other people said none. Yeah. Will continue to function normally if the pitot tube becomes blocked. So it can't be none because the pitot tube's blocked. The airspeed indicator is the only one that will be affected, but it will not function normally because it's not getting that ram air information to function. So the altimeter and the vertical speed indicator are not connected to the pitot tube, so they will function normally. A particular VOR station is undergoing routine maintenance. This is evidenced by, I can't remember if I mentioned this or not, or if it was in the King School, but we talked about how you ID a VOR station, which means you tune in and listen to the Morse code, or on the updated systems like we have on the G650, on the comms information when you switch from comm to nav. For the frequency, it will have an ID next to the frequency. That's also considered ID'd, identification feature from the VOR. So if you don't have the identification feature, which would be the Morse code, means it's going under maintenance, it's not usable. VOR is not usable, okay? There's no maintenance signal alert instead of Morse code, and there's no removal of the navigation features. So you can still tune in to a VOR that isn't working, and the CDI needle will still be there, but it's not reliable if the VOR station's not working. So you just have to, that's why every time before you use a VOR, you have to identify the station by listening to the Morse code. Okay? Yeah, that was 50%. Most people said maintenance alert signal, but there's no other signal. It's either there, the Morse code is there, or it's not. When the CDI is centered using the VOT, the OBS and the to from indicator should read 63%. Not bad. A lot of people get confused reading this, but remember I said 182, Cessna 182, so that would be 182 and 0 degrees from, not 0 degrees to or 180 degrees from. So this is flipped, that they tried to trick you. And then again, 180 degrees from is not correct. And this is regardless of the pilot's position from the VOT. So 180 degrees to, remember that. It's an easy question to get right on the written. What symbol would indicate a VORTAC? Easy, a runway configuration with a dot. We had this question the other day on the written that we went over. They're trying to trick you because these two don't exist for VORTAC, so the only option that could be possible is the runway configuration with a dot, and then you have that little box on the side that will say vortac if it isn't a hexagon. Okay? A hexagon with a dot in the middle is just what? The regular hexagon with the dot in the middle without anything around is just a standard VOR, so it's not a vortac. This is a vortac, right? So there you go, vortac. Vortac DME isn't really a thing. You're gonna have vortac, VOR, DME, or regular VOR. So the ones with the boxes on the outside are vortex. If it has one single box around the whole thing, that's VOR DME. If it has nothing, it's just a hexagon with a dot, it's a regular VOR. Okay, what is pressure altitude? Going back a little bit to weather, we've definitely talked about this. The altitude indicated when the barometric pressure scale is set to 2 T. Corrected, well, this whole thing wouldn't be right because it's not the indicated, but corrected for non-standard temperature and pressure is what? It's actually not indicated. If we're correcting for non-standard temperature, specifically, what is that altitude? Anyone? Say louder.
Density altitude.
Density altitude, yes. Okay, and what instruments will become inoperative if the static vents become clogged? 100%, all 52 of you, good job. Airspeed altimeter and vertical speed, because the static port, or they call it vents, but they're talking about static ports, are connected to all three indicators. Then the pitot tube is just connected to the airspeed indicator. That's the biggest point. Okay, this tripped up a lot of people. If a flight is made from an area of low pressure to an area of high pressure without the altimeter setting being adjusted, the altimeter will indicate. So you're not going, what we talked about, the thing to remember is high to low. Look out below, they're giving you low to high. So it's the opposite of what we remembered. So low pressure to high pressure means it's indicating lower than the actual altitude above sea level. So yeah, people just got tripped up between the higher or lower than actual. Good thing no one else answered the other ones. Okay, air data computer, ADC, combines data from the pitot-static sensors and the temperature sensors. Spinning gyros would be gyroscopic instruments, but we don't have those in the sling anyway. Receives input from the airspeed and altitude indicators. That's not, the indicators receive information from the air data computer. So the air data computer doesn't receive inputs from the indicators and senses the plane's speed and altitude. How senses is just the wrong terminology. It combines data from the pitot-static sensors and temperature sensors. The computers are always going to have sensors that are processing this information. Okay. All right, we talked about DME. DME is slant range distance in nautical miles. Statute miles is like what you see with your eyes, visibility. So slant range distance in nautical miles, meaning that triangle that I talked about with DME, it's like the longest side of a triangle. Instead of reading your distance from the DME indicator, it's reading your distance from the ground to the air, so it's a slant range distance. That way, when you get closer and closer, all it can do is read your distance above it instead of your distance away from it. And last one, what angular deviation from the VOR course center line is represented by a full scale deflection of the CDI? We didn't talk about full scale deflections on the PowerPoint or on the slides, but they always add something in here that's not on the slides to see if you're doing any kind of home study or looking at anything outside of the class. So 10 degrees is the answer. It looks a little different in the old school CDIs than the ones that we see in the G3X. So there's a couple different ones. The old school ones, they look like this, is by 4. So the final one is still 10 degrees. There's 4, there's one with 4 dots. We see one with 2 dots like this. So 5 and 10, right? That's all we have to know. Not bad. Not necessarily our best quiz that we've ever done, but not bad. Do people still have questions about stuff that they got wrong, or were you just confused by the answer choices? Just the answer choices? Yeah. They made it a little bit harder. They're trying to trick you on a lot of these. Yeah. If we want to review, I can go back if you feel good about what you got wrong. Now you understand. That's good too. Zoom. Zoom, I can allow chat if Zoom has questions, since we have 8 people in the Zoom today. Anything. Everyone feels awesome about what we just said. Do we just need to study more at home? We have no questions about it? Okay. Fair enough. Let me look into, next week is a big week. Next week we are doing navlogs, paper navlogs, and you're using the, I know, everyone's eyes are twitching. We're gonna do paper navlogs. We're gonna do, oh, someone's doing them right now. Exactly, yeah. It's a process. It's a process to do it all by hand. He's got his little old school E6B wind correction on there. We're gonna learn how to use that. You have to know how to use the old school way before you can use the calculator. Is great to have on standby actually when you're gonna do, you know, planning before your actual cross countries that you're flying. But in a check ride, most likely they're going to ask you to show that you can use the old school one. And it just keeps coming up every single check ride after private. You still have to make a nav log for instrument. You have to go back and make nav logs for commercial. You do CFI, you have to teach people how to use the E6B and make their own nav log. It just keeps going and going and going. So the better that we can understand and get this down next week, the better off you'll be for the rest of your training. Because if you don't understand it now and you barely slip by, you won't know it for the rest of your training. You'll just keep getting further and further behind. So what are the actual days? Talking about navlog flows, checkpoints are easy. We get into NW craft. Biggest thing or hardest thing with Sling is that our POH is kind of crap and doesn't have the normal charts that you would use to calculate cruise speed and takeoff distance, landing distance, all that. So we have to kind of finesse to figure out these numbers. We'll talk about what other resources we use to figure out all this. Flight following, we talked about yesterday a little bit, so we should know a little bit about flight following, choosing alternates. Then we get into the E6B, yay. And talk of climb. And there's a little app. E6 on the computer. There's a little app that you can use, or website or whatever. So you can use the flight computer if you don't actually have one. How many people, raise your hand if you have the old school one? Okay, most people. Does everyone else have the calculator version? Do some people have neither? Some people have neither? Okay. That is your job this weekend. This weekend, and Monday, I guess you don't technically need it Monday, but Tuesday, we're gonna learn how to use this. So you need to either pull up this page, use your friends, whatever. But to do your check ride, you are going to need either one. So buy the calculator if that's you want to take the easy route and then try to learn this on a computer. You can do that. I'm not even sure how much they cost anymore. It should be cheaper to get the old school one, but if you want to buy the calculator, go ahead. You need one of them if you don't have either of them. You also need a sectional chart. How many people have a sectional actual paper? 2. Okay. Lots of people need to go to South Bay Aviation today or on the weekend or on Monday, buy themselves a paper sectional. Try to buy LA. What were you gonna say?
I went, they were sold out,
Oh, damn.
sectional, so I bought it.
Yeah,
It worked
yeah.
alright.
It'll work all right.
Cut off like.
Yeah, you can't go very far on that. Yeah. If over the weekend you got Amazon Prime, get that Amazon Prime order in. They have it on Amazon for like $10, I think. There has to be other than South Bay, other places you can buy it at. Where can I buy them? Fine.
Only 14, that's only so.
People sell them out Amazon.
More farce than set. Yeah, it took me about a week to get it up.
Mm,
It's not fine much.
dang.
Selling cows. It's 14.
Section.
Mm.
Yeah, how much? Oh, oh, sorry, I guess.
14.
Not sure about.
Some are 8, some.
Aviation Depot. Delivery by October 3rd. Oh, you have to pay $5 extra for it.
Oh my god.
I think the ones that are 14 have the shipping.
Yeah. Same thing.
Scams.
Yeah. Do what you can to procure one. If you live in a house with other sling people, take their sectional next week. Take it with you, bring it here, give it back. They probably don't need it. Most people that are not doing a check ride or learning how to do this are not pulling out their sectional often. So see if you can snag one off of someone else. Doesn't matter if it's expired. When you buy a new one, make sure it's up to date so that you're getting the newest copy if you're gonna go out of your way to buy one. But for practice next week, it can be expired. It can be an old one that you took off somebody else at Sling. Okay? And if really you get out of all options, I would like you to try your best so everyone has one, but if you really can't get one before Tuesday next week, you can share with a friend. It's not that bad. Yeah, but there's going to be a lot of other thing you're gonna have to buy that you should have come in with. What is this? Plotter. You need a plotter to plot on a sectional. So you're going to need this and a sectional and the 6B. You need all this. This and the calculator if you have it. This is the old school calculator. Some people have, I think Tip is one of the ones that has the crazy new updated calculator, but you're gonna need all of this to do flight planning. But most importantly, they should have juicy at Sporties, not Sporties, at whatever it is. Okay.
Sure.
South Bay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They should be available at South Bay unless everybody is going over there and selling out. Whoa, I have a,
They do have this. Yeah.
okay. Got Amazon, wow. I didn't know there was a cover on here. I've had this for over a year now, so looks brand new. Yeah. These are the tools that you need to bring on Tuesday, or else it's kind of a waste of a class. I really want everyone to learn how to do this correctly. Figure out, yeah, then we're gonna have to get into compass errors, which is the worst. I hate compass errors. the magnetic compass. And then definitely, okay, what day is this? This is day 3. Okay, I take that back. Day 3, Wednesday next week is the last day you need all this stuff. So you have until Wednesday. All the rest of the days, we're kind of building up to actually doing a full nav log. It's helpful if you have it so you can start practicing, but we on, what is it, Wednesday? Yeah, Navlog workshop on Wednesday, where the only slide is to plan out a group Navlog. So we all need the tools so we can practice and you can figure out what you're doing wrong. Now, there's a lot of steps. As you heard, it takes people hours by themselves at home to do Navlogs. And that's not an exaggeration. That's not because he's particularly slow at it. There's no shade to you. You're not slow. Most people are taking hours, at least 2 hours to finish all the steps because you have to do calculations. You have to do calculations on each line for every point. So like you're choosing your waypoints. You have to have a good amount of waypoints if you're going to be doing it cross country. So like all of this is going to be filled out, every single waypoint. And then every line of this, you have to fill out all this information for every waypoint. There's a lot to do. So let's get our stuff together so we can figure out how to do a navlog, a group one on Wednesday, and then I feel like Thursday, yeah, Wednesday you're gonna get homework, yay, and then you're gonna come in with a navlog that you've done at home, and we're gonna review it all together and see if you could do it by yourself at home. And then we're probably gonna do another one on Friday as a group. Okay, yay, next week, really fun. This important stuff. And then I think by the end of the week or the week after, I think Thursday, after we review the little homework that everyone did, then we'll talk about the easy way to do it on the iPad after you've learned the hard way. And then I feel like the rest of the weeks are really limited to what we're doing after that. Then week 8, we're doing night flight, loss procedures, human factors, aeromedical factors like hypoxia, carbon monoxide poisoning, things like that, the vestibular system, etc. Week 9, practice, navlogs, ACS review, review knowledge again. Week 10, check ride prep, oral practice, how a check ride goes, etc. So we don't have a lot left. Next week is like the biggest week of new information that we need to get down. Then week 8 is kind of like filling in some little bits at the end. And then week 9 and 10 is just lots of review, practice, getting ready, check ride ready, hopefully. Yeah. And then after week 10, you're on your own until you start instrument again. And then you're back in class with possibly me, possibly someone else. I don't know. They have to choose who they want to teach the PPL and the instrument class next time. So we'll see. Yeah, we only have 8 weeks of slides, so really 9 and 10 is like going crazy on review, practice, questions. Really after week 8, please have your written done by the end of week 8. Please. Those last 2 weeks of, do it for yourself, but those last 2 weeks of review, you can work on the written, but if you could get it done by the end of week 8, you're in a good spot. Get it out of the way. Some people are scared at home, they're sitting at home, and they're worried about the written. But if you're doing the practice test and it's at 90% on the practice test, just go take it. Seriously. Do not sweat over, oh, I don't want to get an 80%, whatever. it is what it is, as long as you don't get below an 80%, which if you are continuously taking the practice test and you're getting 90 and above, no one's ever had an issue with going and taking it and then all of a sudden they fail out of nowhere. Like, this is a proven way to take the written. The only thing that sucks with private is like they could add some new questions or change around some of the figure numbers or whatever. But it's the same idea. All the questions are around the same idea that you've been practicing this entire time. So it shouldn't be too much of a surprise. And just get it over with. Because it's just it's a written test that really does not affect, I mean, people tell you it affects the check ride a little bit, but you're not gonna, nobody here is gonna go into the check ride with a failed written exam or like a 75%, like a barely passing written exam. Oh, yeah.
If you get a barely passing, you should already take it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They just make you pay again, which sucks, but yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you do. Which means you have to take the practice test on the Cessna app at least 3 times and get 90 or above on 3 of them. You can take more than 3 until you get the 390s. But once you have the 390s, tell your instructor, send them screenshots or whatever. They will send you an endorsement to go take it. And then when you go, either if you go to Rolling Hills down here, it's the same guy who does the writtens every time, so you'll get to know him very well after taking all of your writtens at Rolling Hills Aviation. So he'll play a little joke on you. You'll go in you'll show him when you show up. If you set a time online, which I realized I kept saying South Bay last time, it's Rolling Hills. Let me go on here. They're right next to each other, but I forgot Rolling Hills was the place right next to South Bay. Rolling Hills is the one that does the written. So yeah, on their website, Rolling Hills Aviation, take a PSI test. There you go. Please book first online. Click that. Oh. Well, click that on your own browser. Click it on your own browser. I don't want to do anything on this computer, but it's really simple. Once you click that, you set up, just like I showed you on the other PSI website before, you set up your account, you figure out your closest location, you choose, the closest location right now will be Rolling Hills Aviation at the end of the hangar, but if you want to do somewhere else closer to your house, there's other options. And then once you set up an appointment time to take it, then you show up to Rolling Hills, you can park in their parking lot, thankfully, and then go take it. You show up, you show this guy your endorsement, you show him your ID, make sure you have your ID and your endorsement, and then he enters your information in, gets the test set up for you, then you go take the test in like a little room with a couple computers, and you have your little book, and you take the test on the computer. And then when you leave, you walk back out to him and he prints out your results and he messes around with you, especially, here's what you'll know you did well if he immediately makes a joke and is like, he did this to me every time. He's like, I don't know if you'll like this score. And he gives it back to me, it's like a 98. I'm like, okay. So if he messes with you, then you did well. If he just like hands it back to you, then maybe you'd be a little scared. But yeah. It's 170, I think. Hey. Yeah. Yeah, and you gotta take private them. How did I take private? Instruments, CFII, commercials, FOI, FA. 6? 6.
Go down.
Okay. They also take walk-ins. Yeah, question.
You have a credit card?
Yeah, if you go on the website and you book online, it will pay through credit card online. I don't think you can bring him in person credit card. I'm not sure if he has a credit card reader in person. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah, you can retake it, and it is on the record that you failed the first one. So when you show up to the check ride, you'll have to bring the failed one and your new one that you passed and show both of them as a record. Which sucks. Yeah.
If you passed like a little squirt.
Yeah.
Like you redo it because better.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll have a record. It's better just to show up transparently with both of them if you're retaking it for a better score, because they'll be able to see on their side that you've taken it twice, so they'll ask you about it if you don't have it, both of them. But I'm pretty sure it's still a rule. Did they talk about this in orientation about how you need an 80 or above to be in the academy program? So above 70 or 70 or above is technically passing, but that's not gonna cut it for the academy program or the sling program. So you will be asked to retake it if you get lower than an 80 to be able to schedule your check ride with sling. So it looks better, but in the 80s, it's not that bad, guys. Everyone wants a 90 or above because it looks good and you have less questions asked, but there are probably at least half the people here that took their writtens got scores in the 80s and they went to their check ride and they passed just like everybody else. So it's not the end of the world. If you get like an 85, I would not go retake it to try to get like a 90 or above. Like just accept the 85, accept that they're gonna ask you more questions based on the fact that you have a few more written answer choices. Yeah, don't sweat it too much. Obviously, if you're like just at that 80%, then it's up to you whether or not you want to be grilled a little more in the check ride or if you want to retake it. Because it is another almost $200. So is it worth it? I don't know. They still give you the same license that everybody else has, even if you get a low score in the written. If you still pass the check ride, you get the same thing as everybody else. So the written isn't do or die. Obviously, you want to do well so that you get asked less questions, and that is a real thing. I went pretty hard on my writtens and was never asked more than one question about any of the written codes. So they do skip it if you get like high 90s, but also you're being asked a bunch of other questions already. It's not the end of the world if they ask you a few more questions and you know exactly what to prepare for, right? It's going to give you, so everyone's seen, I guess not, but maybe from other people, do you know that you'll get the printout of the written and it will have the codes? It will have specific codes that match the ACS. Oh, no. Someone look at. This is all the written. I don't want the codes. You also need a code for which written you're taking. There's like 30 different writtens you could take. There's helicopter, rotorcraft, glider, blah, 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 blah. There's so many different written choices. So when you're signing up to take the written, you're going to take the PAR. Okay? The code for the test that you're taking for the private knowledge test is PAR. Written test codes right here. So it looks like this. You'll get a list of codes, and then whatever code that relates back to the ACS, a topic on the ACS. So it won't give you the exact question that you got wrong, so they don't want the questions given out by other people, but it will give you the topic that your question was about so that you know exactly what to study for your check ride. So when they ask you a question about the topic that you got wrong on the written, you're already prepared. You know exactly what you need to prepare for if you have written questions that you missed. Yeah.
When you got interviewed instructors, like they
Yeah.
really look over your written scores.
I have no idea. I submitted them, but
So you have to give it to them.
yeah, you have to give it to them regardless. They weren't mentioned. I did
Obviously,
pretty
right.
well on my written, so I don't think it was a problem. Yeah, it wasn't specifically talked about, but you do have to submit all of that if you're gonna be hired. And then, yeah, so you have all of these different codes. So then you'll just go on a page like this, or honestly, I just Googled the code every time and it would bring up what section you missed on, what topic, and then look up that topic, figure out what you need to answer, because they will go back and ask you, especially if you have like 4 or more codes, they'll go back and pick 1 or 2 to ask you about. So easy to look up, easy to prepare. These codes are from the ACS, so we can go over more on the ACS getting closer to like when we're doing check rides. But like I said before, the ACS is your standards for certification. This is like a book of everything that you need to know and can be asked in order to get your private pilot's license. So follow it, buy the book, figure out what you know and what you don't know on the ACS. That way you cover everything that you could be asked. Oh, it looks like it's closed Saturday and Sunday, so you can only take it on a weekday. You can call them to set up an appointment. I always did it online. Also, you can just walk in. Literally, they take walk-ins all the time. If you want to call before and ask them if they have any openings to save yourself a walk down to Rolling Hills, you can do that too. Most of the time, they have openings. I know one day Courtney sent a message that said that they told them that they had a bunch of openings, but no one was ready to take the written, so that was a bad time. But now should be the time that you're honing in on the written, getting all this done. Any more questions about the written or what you should be doing? We've got some spectators out there watching. Yeah.
Should we get 2 attempts at the written? You got the first one and then you get take it.
I actually don't know how many attempts. I would think,
Anyone else know off the top of the head?
I would think 3.
Thank you. That on Slighty's requirements, the 80% has to be the first or second attempt. Yeah.
That would make more sense if it was a sling rule. I'm sure that as many times as you need to pass. So
Oh, sweet.
technically, as many times as you need to pass, but I'm sure that's true that sling has put
You
in
need a
the,
minimum, so that you need a minimum of 80% first or second try.
yeah,
So
yeah,
the first that's the second.
yeah, and you'll need the endorsement again. So if you fail the first time, or if you don't like your score and you want to take it again, then go back to your instructor, show them 3 more tries and 3 more 90% that you've gotten, and then they'll send you endorsement. Yeah.
It's like, you know how there's all those sections of a pay school thing?
Yeah.
It's like they randomly select just a random number from each category, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not, I think it might be, they don't really tell you how they do it, but it's probably like up to 5 questions from each different category. Some of them are like only 1 or 2. Like I feel like the charts where you have to like follow the density, altitude, and what questions are those? The ones that you have to, the ones with charts that are connected are usually a smaller number than the ones that are just the questions by themselves. So there's like 50 different questions in there on one subject, and you'll do it like 50 different times, and then you'll only get like 2, maybe sometimes even 1 question that you have to read the chart and figure out the answer. So same with like doing math, like cloud bases where you have to do math on, probably only 1 question on those, but obviously you practice that many times so that when they ask you the 1 question that you know how to do it. But there's not a lot of figure questions on there. There's a lot of other regular questions, and then smaller amount of ones that you have to use the book for the figures on. How many people pass the PPL written on first try? It's not that hard. No, just make sure you're constantly getting 70% on practice tests. I say the same thing. If you're getting 90 or above, just go take it. You've got 390s, just go take it. You know enough, get it out of the way. It's like in the front of your brain, you've practiced, you just took a bunch of practice tests, you're familiar with the material. While it's front in your brain and you're up on your practice, go take it immediately. That's what I always did. Once you get those three, get the endorsement and go take it the next day after you've gotten 390 or above. Go take it the next day, because then it's totally fresh in your mind. If you take your practice test on Monday, your 390s, you get your endorsement and you wait until Friday to go actually take it, it's going to deteriorate over time. It's a muscle that you're using, kind of a memory muscle on these questions, especially when you get past private. So when you get past private and you're doing all the other writtens, it's 1,000% muscle memory. So you're going to have to, as soon as you finish doing like Shepherd Air or something for the writtens, the Shepherd Air program, as soon as you finish that, then you really have to take it immediately because it's all memorization. You just gotta go take it as soon as you're done with those tests because you'll forget the answers. But yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Same format for multiple choice.
Yeah, 3. Yeah. It's gonna be the exact same format. Yeah.
Are questions like verbatim the same or?
Sometimes. They're more known to switch up some of the numbers and the figures. Most of them are pretty verbatim from, but they're more known to switch up on the private than they are any other test. So it's gonna be pretty similar, but you might see like the same kind of question, but now they've like switched the numbers on it, or they've switched to a different airport or whatever. But that book of figures that I talked about and the ones that you're practicing with for the written on the computer are all the same. They don't change those figures. So it's going to be based off the same thing. So you're going to be seeing the sectional chart with all those VOR questions we did, the same 9 CDIs that we saw. That's going to be the same thing you're looking at for every question. So you're basing it off of those, the sectional charts that shows like wherever we were looking at Sawborough and whatever, that's gonna be the same thing. Elizabeth City VOR, it's the same figures that are in the book and they don't change the book. So you're gonna be seeing the same exact thing. I can't guarantee that they're gonna be asking you the same exact question, but it's going to be the same idea. So just use what you've learned from the question that you're practicing and then apply it to whatever they're asking. But most of them are verbatim, but they like to change it up more. They can't guarantee that they're going to be exactly the same question. So don't rely totally on memorization, but practicing all these questions. If you've gone through every single question in that app and you've taken multiple, like 3 or more practice tests, you've seen all that you can see. Like now it's time to just go take it. You've seen everything they have to offer. It's going to be pretty similar. You've practiced all you could. You've done way more questions that you're going to get on the actual written, like way more questions. I'm sure it's close to like 800 questions. Exactly, 852. That's pretty spot on. All the rest of them, for instrument and so on, you're gonna get a test bank of like over 1,000 questions with Shepherd Air, which sounds insane, but that one is verbatim. All the rest of them are verbatim, the exact questions, the exact answer choices, the same exact numbers. Everything is the same. You get the entire test bank. You have to pay for it, but you get the entire test bank. And you just gotta memorize. You just gotta memorize the answers. It's easier to memorize than you would think it is. Like I'm sure I could look at the instrument written questions and just because I went through the Shepherd Air, I could probably just guess what the answer is based off I had it memorized last year. So it's pretty easy. Just get through this one. Honestly, don't get too caught up on being scared of I don't want to fail, I don't want to do the written.
If said the shade is real.
She is real.
She said the shade is real.
The shade is real. Yeah. She's the only one that I know for a fact can go pass it right now with 90 or above. So there's no reason to sit around and keep worrying about it. Okay, other questions? Who wants to go on their iPad and go schedule their written right now? Yeah, yeah,
This one has two figures in it, so you have two separate figures. It's a CP one.
okay,
It's, I don't know, I don't understand. So they're giving me, a person is 180 pounds in the front seat.
oh god.
That person,
Okay, yeah, these ones that have all the different numbers and the words and the figures, you'll get like one of these.
Yeah.
You'll get one of these out of the 60. So if you really don't understand it, also. Maybe just count on missing one. Maybe just count on doing a 30% guess and be like, all right, I got one wrong. But
That's what I did.
okay, go
I
ahead.
tried to think about it. So 180 pound person in the front seat, they leave the aircraft.
Yeah.
Our weight is 2690,
Yeah.
and whatever the moment is, was 2260. A person who's 204 pounds moves from the back seat to the front seat. So I know my CG is gonna move forward, but they want me to find out how many inches it's gonna move forward. This, like I know it's stupid. They use this and it says weight times arm of the moment, subtract the weight of the person, the deplaning person, which I understand.
Yeah,
Because that
weight
makes
is
sense.
the weight and back to the front. Then use the table. Additional explanation.
Yeah, but like, how do you, huh?
Which one's forward?
What is forward? But you have to know the number in inches to the decimal point.
Maybe,
Isn't it
yeah.
like 3.1?
Well, honestly,
Yeah,
you got a 50-50 chance because one of the options is that it moves aft,
Yeah.
which isn't right. So now you got a 50-50 chance. If you really just want to go take the written, just be like, all right, I got a 50-50 chance. I'm choosing one of them. This can be one that I count on. Maybe I don't get.
yeah,
But
maybe
using
it's
the
like
chart,
using the
What's the chart
chart,
look like?
so they give us the occupants, they give us the weight and the
Yeah.
moment for the forward.
yeah,
Assuming is that guy got off, he's 100, that's where we were.
Yeah.
He's off now, so now we're using this one. So just divide that, and that would give one,
fine.
maybe?
Because the actual answer choice is inches off of, it says
Yeah, inches forward.
inches forward. or
Yeah,
back.
yeah, and it's 0.1 or 0.3.
That's a lot.
I don't know, I don't get it, cause then you do that and you get this, I don't know, whatever, I'm just gonna memorize that one's 0.3.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I would do.
I'll try it. I'm in the calculation, there goes one out. It's, it explains it, but. I still,
All right, we got like 10 more minutes.
0.3.
Anybody from the Zoom want to get in on the chat?
This is what I was trying.
Anybody want to say
Yeah.
anything on the chat? Any
I
questions?
mean, yeah, but it's. I'm not sure. I don't get it, I don't get educated yet.
That's what I'm saying. Largest answers. So without even reading it, I would have picked the last one.
Yeah. Well, I know it's moving forward, so I was trying to think about, I know the CG has to move forward, if you something new glider. Out of the plane. See, that's what like every other.
That's
my
that's
entire
the
life.
That's
That's
to eliminate the wrong answer.
That's the way I was like, we need to break this down. Think about it. Use the information that's given. Your vendor bank.
Not for the.
That's the exact right attitude to have. Not. That's
It's such a weird, like.
as think of it as a mind game. They're trying to trick you. They want you to pick the wrong answer. They're strategically giving you answer choices to lead you to the right ones. So just eliminate the ones that are wrong, make your best guess if you don't know or don't know how to figure out the answer.
It's just a way to switch your thought process.
Oh yeah.
Every other test I've ever taken in my life. It's like, all
Yeah.
right, read the question, understand the question, break down the question.
No. No.
It makes sense, right?
No, yeah, it does. Yeah,
If someone leaves the side to go in the front.
that's also heavier. By like 25 pounds. It makes sense, but. So it was either 0.1 or 0.3, so that's 3. It's approximately 0.1 inch of CG, but it moves forward, they're both move forward 3 inches. So that's why I was like, but the CG moves forward 0.1 or 0.3, but the inches. For both of those answers is 3 inches. Yeah, I mean, I know that now, but I was trying to like wrap my head around it, but I guess that's. Do it.
Yeah, change your mindset right now, because especially for this one, the rest of the writtens you cannot be thinking like, oh, I need to understand how this works. I'm gonna have to explain this, blah, blah, blah. The written is just a checklist of stuff that you have to finish to get to your check ride.
That's so weird.
And the questions that if you get that wrong, and then the little code comes up on your paper in your check ride, they're not gonna ask you anything near that question that you got asked on the written. It's gonna say like weight and balance.
That's really
and they're-
oddly specific.
Yeah, like the question that you're gonna get if you get that wrong by the DPE is, okay, tell me about how Ford CG changes the characteristics of your airplane. Like that's the kind of weight and balance. Or they're gonna give you a weight and balance sheet, the one that you prepared, they're gonna say, okay, if we need more fuel, how's that gonna change our CG?
Yeah.
Something really simple that we've been taught to understand and explain. The question is not gonna be anywhere near that. No. And no one's doing that kind of math before their flight either,
Yeah,
so.
they can explain to me how to do that. Still not
Yeah.
understanding. You take any of it. I think it's 60. That's it. I don't know. Yeah, literally. I was thinking about each one. It's about yeah.
You say just use buttons. Yeah, yeah.
So. It's like marking all C's like. What do you think? Try to say both.
It's all fun, it's like all these times. Other.
If you have to work.
You got that, that's fine, that's.
I told her she
Sometimes they need some.
I have so many iPads.
Exactly. Use your phone to that's the truth.
So I just think about turning. I percentage by 8. Yeah, but that's a lot of info. I feel like I would just do that. I would be better off just running through it and then not like guessing or.
The
Don't
first,
second guess.
answer that you choose, don't go back and change it. There's
Yeah.
something in your mind that they've actually tested this on, through, some experiment for testing, but they've tested this and most people get the answer choice wrong when they go back and change it. Whatever your brain immediately goes to for the answer, stick with it and move on. Don't go back through all the questions after they're written and go through each one and be like, okay, actually, maybe it could be this answer and change it.
If they cause on something, is that like bias?
There's something. It's been studied. It's not bad.
I'm just thinking.
Yeah,
I don't like those surveillance. That's the problem.
yeah, I would, depends on the question.
Yeah, it's like if I'm overthinking, if it takes me long.
Yeah.
You're presented with an idea.
But do it all.
Yeah. But confirmation bias, you have stuff that is giving you information. And you're using that information to make up an already predetermined decision in your mind. Because if you go back and you reread the question, you're looking at the information, you're like, oh no, but I think that this is right. So I guess that's fantastic. Look less. That's if you're idea is the. Right.
You know.
The right answer more time than not.
That's very good.
Down, it's like.
Hey.
Yeah, I think you. Yeah. Oh, it's like.
Somebody.
It's a lot.
Oh, dope. Well, I mean, you got exposed to a bunch of different teaching styles, and I guess.
Issues with it.
So you made the right decision. Good. But overall, bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's like having like a friendship type relationship with your therapist. Really nice. Makes everything a lot less relaxed. No, you've been in the middle of like.
What makes you? So.
Fitness is really important. It's not that bad. It's honestly not as bad as I thought it was.
I hate just. Because there's a lot.
I never studied. I really don't have time to study.
Yeah.
I should have a day off. Where it comes from. Look, it's totally students fine. Once you really pay attention to class. No. Have like maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes here and there. I wouldn't even call that study, it's not sitting down, it's trying to really understand the object and it's just very. With like 15-20 minutes here and there, and then I'll get your repetition up, and then someone else is left with time. Like I did a ground yesterday, and they asked me a bunch of questions, and I'm just like, I don't know that. We slept this week. And I didn't really have a lot of stuff, I was like, I worked all the things. Just do that, and then I went over my class, they're like, wow, they was helping me to study, literally, I learned all of these, stack system, like, now. You just drill it for like an hour and that was it, you don't need a lot.
Cause
it's, you know, it's not that, that's just like,
just.
and
Are you full-time solid?
but it's always been distraction, so it's interesting. It was what it was, and I swear God, it was like,
They're all parts.
so 100 pages, it's just
Do
like,
you have a lot,
all of that shit. This is all what I think you.
you live in Europe, like on an apartment, that you know.
Yeah, so walking up, it's not actually that bad, it's like figuring was
That's stuff, I don't think it's gonna be able to talk about until maybe. Like.
That's still going. Your role.
And like earlier, trying to navigate that, bills. Per pay for a third job is an interesting thing, because some of you learn more. Going to fall. So. Per pay is a little less, yeah, it's still right, less, and I make. $15 more an hour, does, but I don't have the time for it. Does, so. It doesn't help. Yeah, let's make more. It's not easy. So we're trying to figure it out. Well, he's like, we'll figure it out. I'll figure out trying to small, but something. In 2 years, I have to start paying my loan. I want to be 1,500 a month. 1,500 a month is pension, but usually just like these. Journeys and times and beliefs. But I know if I know, I was not about. Like, if you find your scene, like, yeah, so be careful. It's not like yeah, you can do that. The only problem with EDP is they take your pre-tax. So it's like sound like. Yeah, so basically, they take your pre-tax income, I think it's stupid because you don't have access to all that money. Yes, so they make it all. That's not your net, so they get like 30, 50 a year. They take your pre-tax. Now my account is pre-tax like 38, they're like, oh, you can qualify. It's like, but I'm. So you have to ask your living, i.e. like for rents, every time you pay your rent, then you have to like all these other bills, you have to send them installed, you have to keep 1 so they you pay stubs. And then they allocate your pre-tax, and then they swap you.
Real raise.
I won't be able to apply most likely till next year because I've worked a lot this year. I was working 70 to 80 hours a week. So my income is already at this point. Now, you could also do part-time jobs. I need to be able to fill the gaps. Well, how it seems. That's a qualifying factor for getting one pull because you're right. And you can't get both.